David Wright, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're now 7 years into this global financial crisis. Have we turned the corner?
I don't think so yet, Justin. I think we have a long way to go. I like to think of the global financial repair in terms of 4 or 5 big issues. The resolution framework. It's absolutely vital that we resolve failing financial institutions, mainly banks, without any cost to the taxpayer. And we've got to think about doing this on a cross-border basis for the big G-SIFIs. Job unfinished. A long way to go here. A second issue on derivatives, perhaps now we're beginning to see more progress. More trades going on to exchanges, more trades being cleared and reported to trade repositories. Problem here is we've got 25 trade repositories who are not talking to each other. So the regulators today have an incomplete picture of how derivatives trading is panning out at the global level. Third issue, shadow banking. What's the reality? The reality is that we're seeing big shifts away from banking business into the capital markets area. Problem here is we don't fully understand it. We don't have adequate data. We have a compartmentalized approach, which is securitization. Non-bank, non-insurance SIFIs, who are they? Haven't decided that yet. Is it asset managers? Is it funds? Is it hedge funds? Is it finance companies? Job still unfinished. We have all the securities lendings and repo markets beginning to make some progress on minimum levels of collateral, but there's a lot of disagreement at global level on what that should be. Money market funds, the 2 big jurisdictions in the world, the EU and the US, have not decided on their regimes for money market funds. And the fourth area is bank capital, where certainly we've seen a big increase in required capital for the banks. However, is it enough? I read the other day that the average level of capital in the banking system today is still below the average level of losses of those firms that failed. And then I always talk about a 5th column, corporate governance, behavior, culture. I think that's underestimated, not taken seriously enough, and I think these recent scandals, LIBOR, Forex, commodity markets, and so forth, where's it going to end? But I think all of these are symbols and signals that there's still a long way to go. So that's my view.
So that analysis is very similar to that put forward by Mark Carney, basically in his progress report in St. Petersburg last year, suggesting exactly the same problems that you've identified. But Mark Carney's gone further now at the Inclusive Capitalism Conference in London in May, in which he argued that what we're really seeing is an existential crisis, a crisis of values. That crisis of values is at the core of effective corporate governance, it would seem to me.
I thought Mark Carney's speech was first class, as I thought also the speech of Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the IMF, who both were saying similar things, that ethics and behavior have to form part of a sustainable global financial system, and both are lacking. And I think, I remember very clearly, a very famous person told me that if there was a repeat of what has gone on in this financial crisis, all bets were off, and there would even be a possible end of capitalism. Now, that sounds very, very strong, but let's remember some of the effects here. Wages in the public sector in Greece have gone down by 70%. I'm not saying at all that the problems in Greece were entirely related to the financial crisis. But in general, I would say the public throughout the world, where there have been measures of austerity as a result of this crisis, the public has been extremely tolerant. I wonder whether they will be next time. So I think these issues that Mark Carney highlighted are just of immense importance because we can't have one sector of the economy behaving as if it controls and should be in charge of the rest of the economy. What Michel Barnier, the European Commissioner, says that finance has to work for the economy, not the economy for finance.
It's interesting you mention that, because one of the critical things that has emerged post-global financial crisis has been the problems with the associated interbank offered rates, whether this be in London, whether it be in Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, name your jurisdiction and you'll find a problem. This is at the heart of IOSCO's agenda. How far advanced has that agenda itself been developed in the intervening period?
On the benchmarking?
On the benchmarks.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've come out, and I think Martin Wheatley and Gary Gensler, who led this work, did it admirably well and very quickly. So we have a series of principles, which I think are good and robust and quite granular, actually, in terms of IOSCO's normal work. Now, the real challenge we have here, Justin, is to apply them. So the stage we're at now is we're looking very carefully at the application of these principles for the big eyeballs. Now, of course, that's one thing, but the next big issue, and this is the work of the G20, of the Financial Stability Board, is to look at, do we need replacement indices? And if so, how do you get there? The transitional issues, very difficult. The private sector has been looking at this as well, so there's a public sector group, and all that work is proceeding. So again, I think we've made some good progress, but I think there's a long way to go here.
But I think it's interesting that if you're looking at moving away from a submission base into an observed transaction basis for a benchmark, well, part of the problem there is we've seen in the FX currency manipulation that even observed rates can also be manipulated. That in itself is not going to be a panacea, it seems to me.
That's right. I mean, there's no simple solutions here. But ideally, I think you would like to have an observed reported transaction, and I think the more the better. The bigger the populace, the better, because it's much more difficult to manipulate that. And then I would also say that, and this is a general point, Justin, that those who would be tempted to manipulate, they should face long prison sentences. There should be serious sanctions regimes in place here that might deter a few. There aren't at the moment.
David Wright, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Justin.